The events in Uvalde, Texas are stirring up memories from 8 years ago when a gunman on the campus of Seattle Pacific University shot 3 people, killing 1. Tonight, an up-close and personal look at a school shooting and what can be learned from that.
Our Peter Choi joins us now. And Peter, I understand you were a freshman back at SPU, and the man who was killed was one of your friends.
That's right. When I moved to Seattle from South Korea back in 2013 to attend the Seattle Pacific University, gun violence was literally so foreign to me, and I think it was almost non-existent in Korea too. And the trauma of a mass shooting, it was completely unheard of. And the campus shooting in the summer of 2014, made me rethink all that.
My bias would be I want more of us to do that and ask what can we do to contribute to a world that doesn't feel quite so ugly and destructive.
It was conversation like this with peers that helped me through my experience at SPU. On June 5th of 2014, the shooter at SPU was armed with a knife and a shotgun. As he entered the Science, Math, and Engineering building, he shot 3 people, taking away a 20-year-old man, one of my earliest classmates and friends. Although I was 2 blocks away from the shooting took place, I find myself profoundly affected. The sound of helicopters flying above and the sound of sirens going off still brings me back to the day of tragedy.
But let's unpack that and take a look at what's really true, what is my environment, what's the situation around me, and what can I do to take care of myself.
The trauma of Uvalde is without borders. It extends especially to kids elsewhere.
Question is, how do you approach that conversation? You talked about don't explain too much detail about it and things like that. How do you approach that conversation?
I would be led by their questions. They're likely to have questions, so answer those questions. And anything sort of soliciting kind of, what's that been like for you, and what are you and your friends talking about? To see kind of different angles about what their concerns might be.
What about kids who are older, from high school and college? Is the conversation still important to talk about within the family?
I don't think it's any less important as someone gets older. Coming together and supporting each other as we ask those questions, and trying to answer those questions, like I say, can be really empowering.
For parents, what should they do moving forward?
That right now, it's on people's minds. Every morning, as students heading to school, it makes sense to have a very deliberate check-in and to go over safety procedures and just see how they're doing.
The gunman at SPU was sentenced to 112 years in prison. To this date, talking to friends and parents about my feelings still helps me realize that what I'm going through is normal, and I'm not alone in this.
And Peter, that experience for you was 8 years ago now, and then you see certain circumstances like this happening just days ago. How does that make you feel now?
I'll be honest with you, I had a doubt, if I'm willing to put my kids, at schools in states. But one thing I learned from the incident was that, this is reality in states, and it's important to step back and ask ourselves, how are we doing? And also important to talk about your feelings with professionals or peers.
Peter, thank you.
Thank you.